Hi, fourth graders. Welcome to Unit 4, Lesson 4. This lesson will be a really good building stone for our next lesson when we start to find the area of triangles. So today our focus is on triangles and on diagonals. Now, we build quadrilaterals, which remember quadrilaterals are any four-sided polygon, with triangles. It says here you can make a quadrilateral by joining two congruent, so same size, same shape, triangles together along corresponding sides. So as you can see here, we've created a rectangle, which is a quadrilateral, four-sided polygon, using two congruent right triangles. Now, this time we put them together on the slanted side. But if you took those right triangles and put them together on the smaller base side with the right angle here, you could create a parallelogram that's quite long. You could also put together those two congruent triangles by lining up the right angles on opposite sides on their longer side. And that would create another type of parallelogram that looks a little bit different. So here you can see how joining two congruent triangles can create quadrilaterals. Here we're going to see a variety of different quadrilaterals that have been joined by two congruent triangles. So basically those two congruent triangles joined together have created a new quadrilateral. We're going to match these quadrilaterals with the triangles down below here. We're going to see which triangle they used. So it says name the triangle that is used twice, remember because we have to put two of them together, to form each of the following quadrilaterals, then name the quadrilateral. Okay, so let's look at number 4 first. This is a rectangle, so I'm going to start by naming this quadrilateral. Now I'm looking for a right triangle. They joined two right triangles here, and remember they have to be congruent, so same size, same shape. Well, to me, it looks like my best option is triangle V here because of that right angle that I see in the rectangle. So they use two V triangles to create number 4's quadrilateral. On this next one, I see that they have used what looks like acute triangles to create this quadrilateral. And this is a parallelogram specifically. Remember, quadrilateral is just a generic name meaning four-sided shape. For this parallelogram, I see they use two acute triangles. So the right triangle is out. Here's an acute. X and Y are also acute. Z is obtuse, so I'm going to stay away from that one. It looks to me closer to the Y than any of the others. So it looks like they used two of those Y triangles to create this parallelogram. Number 6, I see another parallelogram that has been created. And this time it looks as though they used an obtuse triangle, here being the obtuse angle. So when I look at this, this is right, acute, acute, acute. Z is the only obtuse triangle, and I can see that turned on its side, this would look similar here. So they used two of those Z obtuse triangles to create that parallelogram. Number 7, I see more obtuse angles here. So again, they used that triangle Z to create, this is another parallelogram. Remember, your parallelogram looks like a more slanted rectangle. Again, we have another parallelogram, so I'm just going to abbreviate here, and number 9 is also a parallelogram. So now I just have to figure out which triangles they were using. This one is another acute triangle. And looking up above, to me it looks like triangle X would be the best fit for this parallelogram. So I'll go ahead and write that they used X and put together two congruent forms of that. For the last parallelogram, it looks as though they used a triangle that's pretty close to being equilateral, probably not perfectly. And to me, it looks like Y is the one that they used here. So I'm going to go ahead and write Y as being the triangles they used to create a quadrilateral. Now, looking back on number 8, I'm realizing that this one could be X, but it also could be W. It just looks a little bit closer in size to X. Essentially, the gist that I wanted you to get from this slide is that you can see a quadrilateral is made up of two congruent triangles. Here you'll see how triangles are made when splitting a quadrilateral with a diagonal. Here it says, a diagonal connects opposite angles of a quadrilateral. You can make triangles by drawing a diagonal on a quadrilateral. So for the directions here, it says to name each quadrilateral, then use letters to name the triangles you can make with those diagonals. So if the first quadrilateral I have here is quadrilateral ABCD, and it looks to me as if these are all congruent sides, so this is a square. Now, the first diagonal they did was connecting A to C, so that creates two triangles here. The first triangle is triangle ABC, and the second triangle they created is on the other side of the diagonal here, triangle ACD. Now, they could have done the diagonal this way by connecting B and D. So for this one, the triangles are a little bit different. This time, the first triangle is ABD, and the second triangle is triangle BCD. So depending on where you put the diagonal, it creates different triangles. They're still congruent in size and shape, however. All right, this next one is quadrilateral EFGH, and this is a parallelogram. The first diagonal they inserted was on the angle E and G, so that creates this first triangle here, and that one would be labeled triangle EGH. It also creates on the other side another triangle that we would label it EFG using the triangle symbol. Now, they could have split it the other way, like they show here, with the angle F and H, so a new diagonal, creating new triangles. So the first one would be triangle EFH, and then the other congruent triangle would be triangle FGH. So you can see how putting in a diagonal shows where those triangles would be that make up the quadrilateral. All right, fourth graders, on your ticket today, I'd like you to do the same thing that I just showed you on the previous slide. First, you'll name each quadrilateral, so tell me what these quadrilaterals are, and then use letters to name the triangles you can make with the diagonals. So they've created diagonals for you, and I'd like you to name the two triangles that it creates inside of that quadrilateral. So you have two examples here to complete for me today.